All right, just a couple of updates before I forget. The first one was the heater controls. It was just all coming out of the defrost, so the heater controls weren't working. They'll always default to the defrost. The vacuum line, which is this one, was all corroded. It goes into this vacuum pod here on that port. The engine comes off of that port. Worked for a while, but then boom, back to defrost. So I think this here is not working. It's hard to test. I don't have a fitting small enough here to put a vacuum pump on it. But what I did do is I hooked it directly to engine vacuum, and now it seems to be better. At least I'm getting more vent. Still has defrost, which is fine, but I'm getting more vent flow and all that. It's moving around. So that's hopefully resolved. Next to that, then I'm going to recharge this thing, put some AC stuff in it, some Freon. The other thing is, well, I changed the steering wheel on it. Put this nice wood grain steering wheel from the same era as this van. I think the steering wheel was originally purchased in 1976. I've had it for about 5 years. I've used it on various cars, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it on this thing. I don't have a horn kit, complete horn kit for this thing, so when I do come across one, I'll put the cap on there, but for now, it is what it is. And the other thing here is cup holders. So I've been looking all over the place for cup holders. Can't find anything that's reasonable cost-wise and or function-wise that'll work on the doghouse on this. So what I did was I took a center cap from a weld wheel. I have a few of these lying around. I do have a bunch of weld wheels kicking around that I am not using at this point, and if I do use, well, I'm not going to have center caps on them. But I drilled a hole in the middle, screwed them down into the doghouse, center console there, and works perfect. They're not beautiful, but they function just fine, and it's going to do the trick for now until I can come up with a better alternative. I pulled the carpet out of here. The carpet was disgustingly rotted out right away. As soon as everything dried up in here, got the carpet out, it smelled way better. It always had a musty, moldy kind of smell, so I pulled the carpet out basically around the seat and in the footwell on both sides here. And that did the trick. So the next thing here is I'm going to charge up the AC and hopefully get some cold air coming into this thing. So stay tuned for that one. Okay, back messing around with the heater controls. It seemed like when I hooked the vacuum line up here direct to the engine vacuum, I got controls working, but you know, 10 minutes later or whatever, it quit working. So I have my vacuum gun here. To verify this is working or not, I'll put vacuum to it. I'll hold the block off this port here, because that's the port this line here goes to, and it holds vacuum. I got it up to 30, almost 30 inches there, which is more than it'll ever see, because most the engine's going to make here is probably 22 to 25, like when you're cruising or decel or something like that. So that's holds. So this thing is good. Now, the next thing is putting this, checking vacuum rate at the heater control, because this actually works direct on the heater controls through that vacuum pot there. So spray a little bit of glass cleaner on there, slide that in, and I have zero vacuum. So I suspect this line was rotted out. No, it was about that much, just rotted out. Just looked like an old bad ground wire or something. So I suspect this line here isn't any good. So I'm going to, not today, but I'm going to have to pull the dash apart here, trace this line, and more than likely replace it. So at least I verified where I think the problem is, either this or the control unit itself, but it's a hell of a lot easier to just change this line than it is the control unit. And from my research, I haven't been able to find any heater controls, replacement heater controls. So I'm kind of stuck with that one. So kind of, that's where we're at with this thing. Also, I charged the AC up. I still don't have cool air, but it's hard to tell because it's all coming out of the defrost. AC compressor is a little oily, so I suspect it cycles, it's on and off, but I suspect I got an AC compressor issue. If that's the case, then I'm just going to disconnect the AC because I don't really need it. Yeah, and I don't know whether you can see this or not, but right here, that is my throttle return cable. I had these old wires just hooked up, and springs hooked up. They were really stiff, and you couldn't depress the throttle. If you could, like, it's just your foot's gonna get a bruise from it. So I just had this bracket kicking around, I put that spring on it, and that works good now. Anytime I find brackets, I keep them because you're always going to find a use for them, and that's one that I had lying around. Can't remember what it's for, but it fit perfect in there and does the trick. So I'll put this back together, and this is easy. It's just 2 bolts, slides on, and then it's 11 mil, 10 mil, I believe is what it is. Yeah, 10 mil socket on there, and you just eventually it'll snug up. There we go. That's it. So just carry on and hook this back up. I'll hook this back up to here. Oh, wrong side, but it doesn't matter. This goes there. And then this vacuum line, let's snake it through here. We'll go on there. Okay, so I'm doing a little more digging on the vacuum lines for this. The washer tank sits in here, okay, but kind of hides the routing for this, so this just slides in, no big deal there. And then looking at the vacuum line, when I said there was no vacuum, well, it's because it's rotted right out here. There's nothing left. So I've got some vacuum line. I'm hoping I can make this work here. Run that vacuum line into this port, or I'll couple this there, run it into the vacuum port, and then we'll see what happens. I'm hoping it's not on the inside too, but this, the way this looks here is the way it looked when it was coming out of here, which was, you know, rotted, but it didn't look far enough. So we'll get that spliced in there and we'll see where that takes us. All right, so we'll cut this as far back as I can see where it's good, but still have access to it. It's not great here, but it's still solid. So cut that. There's where it's rotted. Okay, so cut that piece off. This hose is a little too big. The inside diameter is a little too big for this because it just slides right on. It's a little. So what I'm going to do is, there's two things I can do. Is one, I can tie strap it, squeeze it down, or I'm going to see if I can squeeze this into here, and then that into that, and this end here fits fine on this pipe, on this port. So let's see if that works. And if I still don't have control, then I got to get into the inside of this thing, which is going to be a bit of a nightmare because you can't really see where the hose goes. Actually, so glass cleaner like this works great as a lube to get stuff to work and fit. Let's see here. Of course, it also makes it slippery. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. So let's figure this out. Okay, I'll mess with this and then get back. Okay, so silly me, I had this T or angle, 90-degree angle adapter already on this hose, which fits perfect into here. It's a little loose, but it'll do the trick. This will go onto the hose here. And then this goes into here. And if it works, then I'll trim it down. Let's go see. Make sure nothing falls. Okay. Now, I do have the dash apart. I started this before I started filming, but I'll go through the reverse procedure. You can see how easy it is to get the dash apart. However, getting the keys out of here is a different story. Oh, come on. Holy crap. That's just ridiculous. All right. You didn't see that, but my keys were all jammed up. So let's okay, so now I've got that air coming out of there. Beats and no defrost. And I got defrost, so everything's working. So vent, recap, vent, working out of there, heat. Okay, now it's coming out of the floor, out of that vent right there. You can see that. And then defrost is now switched up, and that's coming out of there now. So fixed. Aha. Now, the other issue here was my air conditioning, which I couldn't really get to do much. But now, I got a little bit of cool air coming out of there. Oh, it's kind of working. All right, I'm going to button up the front. So, if I was to take this into a shop and do this, I would probably be charged at least 3 hours mucking around with it, trying to figure out what's up, which would be upwards of, you know, 350, 400 bucks labor and whatever parts required and all that kind of crap. I essentially spent a half an hour this time. I mean, altogether, probably I spent a full hour trying to figure this out, and it's working. So just checking again here, and it's coming out of there. I don't want to speak too soon. Coming out of the floor. Coming out of defrost. Perfect. That's what I need. So, successful repair. Let's button her up. All right. So, essentially, there's not much to do here. Put this, I'm going to cut this down. Well, actually, it's going to be all right just flopping around here. It's not going anywhere. Next project, well, one of the project is the windshield washer fluid doesn't work. The pump doesn't work. So I'm going to get a kit, washer pump kit, tank and all that kind of stuff, and then either link it through here or to get this at the lines for the nozzles here, I got to pull the cowl off, which means taking the wipers off. So we'll see. I might just, if I can, link this and put 2 jets there, or do it right through the factory system. That's it for here. Now we'll get to the there's the offending piece of vacuum hose. Why they use vacuum hose and not cables, I have no idea. But the temperature control is cable operated. Now you can hear it flap. Let's start it up again. It does work. I can't hear it, but it does work. It is functioning, so I'm good there. So let's put this thing back together, and yeah, we'll call it a success. So let's put the camera, I think you can see it from there. Now, first of all, 3 bolts on here. Okay, that just sits inside. Use an 8mm, sorry, 9/32 socket, and this just bolts together here. Screws in here. So this is in reverse, obviously, to what it would be. Don't have to go too tight. Flip one here. This is stripped out. Not my doing, but it is. And then third here. Okay. So again, this is plastic, so you don't have to go too tight. Now, here's the panel, the dash panel, and just so you can see here. That's how you get at your dash. You want to get your gauges, 2, 3, 4, pull that out. This speedo I will eventually get rebuilt because it does bounce around a bit. And there's a guy not too far from here that does that. So that would come out, and then you can get in behind there and do all sorts of stuff. So anyhow, if I had to go and trace a whole bunch of wires here or vacuum hoses here, I would pull this out. And actually that's not even held in by anything because the screws are missing, but I would pull this out, the dash out here, and get access in behind there, but I don't have to, which is great. So this, in order to get this, put your gear shift lever into drive or neutral or whatever, first gear, and then that just sits in. There we go. Put it back in park so it don't roll away. And then we have 3 screws for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's a 6th one here. And that's all there is. So I'll screw this together. So I'm just gonna get these in so I don't drop them. Now I have a rear heater, and this knob just goes on. There. There. So let's get them in. That one's stripped out. This one here. Here, the lever is in the way. Here. Second one is here somewhere, right there. So, I guess moral of the story here is don't go out and buy a bunch of parts unless you know for a fact you need them. That's what I've been trying to do here, is diagnose and fix what I got and try and save some money. So this repair cost me nothing. And then you have the satisfaction of saying you did it yourself. Now, my GPS, which is what I use for fast speed, so I know how to get home from wherever I'm at. That, snap that on. Works. Okay, turn it off. That's it. Couplers. That'll do until I get something better, but for now they work good. So thanks for watching. Hopefully we learned something. I know I did. And yeah, another little fix done. Slowly getting through this thing.